to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 take action success coach and strategist, empowering, educating, inspiring, and igniting people like you to take action with jet propulsion. Today on our show, I'm very excited about this. You are not going to want to miss this show either. I'm telling you. We have the great, wonderful Angela Gervino from Gervino Group. Angela is going to bring us some really yumminess about expanding your business. We're really going to have a deep dive into HR and all those yummy things that you have in your business that you really want to avoid talking about, but we're going to talk about it today because with Angela, you find solutions and getting that right fix. You know what happens is when you bring somebody onto your team, it could take one person to take that team into imbalance. And Angela and I are going to talk about how Angela brings people into your team so that it makes sure that you grow with it and that person doesn't create imbalance. So with that said, I just want to tell you a little bit about my friend Angela Gervino. She is a people-focused HR and operations leader with 25 plus years of experience. You'd never know by looking at her. Helping businesses hire smarter, build stronger teams, and simplify the people side of growth, which is always scary when you're hiring, right? Her diverse background in healthcare, facility services, construction, and engineering gives her a sharp understanding of what drives organizational success. And she doesn't just work on those segments, those are just some of the very many segments she works with. In 2020, look at that, in 2020, she founded the Gervino Group, a national recruitment and HR consulting firm built on clarity, connection, and results. And today, her team, she partners with companies across the US to strengthen teams and create workplaces where people and businesses thrive. A SHRM CP, Certified Behavioral Workplace Assessor, and an ISSA Certified Skills Trainer, Angela brings strategy, and of course, she brings her heart to all she serves. Angela, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much. What an introduction. Thank you.
Well, we got people. We got people. So I really I love what you do. And I think it's important for people to understand your entrepreneurial journey, to understand why and how you got here. I think it's a beautiful story to begin with, and I think my listeners will love hearing this story. I also think it will inspire other people who are like, should I, shouldn't I? So let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey. We'll start there.
Okay, well, that's an interesting start for sure. Prior to entrepreneurship, I worked for an amazing company for 11 years, and I had a lot of great opportunities there. It was a small family-owned company when I started, and I was able to grow with them in each different phase of the business. And I learned so much about operations. I learned so much about sales, so much about marketing, everything. And 11 years went like this. And so when I joined them, they had about 20 people. And when I left, we had over 500. We had expanded the footprint into different states on both coasts. So I was kind of comfortable there, and I was just trying to think, yeah, what's the next thing? And at that time, a couple of things happened in my life, personal changes. Divorce was one of them. That really shook me, as it does many people.
Right.
Um, my daughter had fallen sick. We had to take care of her for, a year and a half. And then out of the blue, a regular mammogram, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it was kind of like boom, boom, boom. Didn't catch a breath there.
Yeah, it
But
kept coming at you.
yeah, my last radiation appointment was in December of 2019. So I thought, 2020, this is going to be the year for me. We're done. Right. And so I go
Universe had another thought about that.
exactly. But what it did was it really made me think about what I wanted. And I don't think I spent much time really thinking about what I wanted personally. I think that was kind of meshed with what I was supposed to do or what my family wanted or, me as a mother or a director of HR, whatever that was. I don't really think I thought it through very
Yeah,
much.
well, who does? I mean, when was the last time you were asked, what do you want? You know, we're always serving other people and we don't really think about what we want. We just approach each day and take whatever the incoming was. And look at your trajectory, your past trajectory was you just had incoming coming at all rates that you needed to tangle with. And sitting there and having that opportunity to think about what you wanted
Yeah.
was a gift in and of itself.
It really was. And I always say, entrepreneurship was something in my mind that was kind of abstract. I always knew I wanted to be a business owner, but I didn't really know what that looked like or what that would even be, to be honest. But I think the cancer diagnosis really rocked me. I was very lucky. I got, again, women go for your annual mammograms. I have less
Yes.
than 1% of ever getting this cancer, and I did. So it stayed in stage one. I was very lucky, but because I was younger, I went through radiation. But that really brought what I wanted really close. It just kind of smacked it in my face, and entrepreneurship kept coming back. And I said, you know what? In 2020, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna consult. I'm gonna do the things that I think I want to do and learn how to be a business owner. And
Oh, I
so
love
that's
that.
what I
Learn
did.
how to be a business owner. I love that. Yes, because we have to learn. It's different. It's different tools, it's different muscles between working for somebody versus owning your own business. Lot of different things. Lot.
Lorianne, bingo. I was an amazing entrepreneur, right? I was really great at helping other companies become successful and moving them forward. But when you're doing it for yourself, I think that was unbelievable for me. I couldn't believe how little I knew
You
about
don't know what you don't know until you find out.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think for me, the hardest part, once I made that switch to entrepreneurship, and I did make that switch, I woke up one morning and I said, you know what? I got to bet on myself. I ripped the band-aid off and I said, you know what? Starting today, that was September 1st, 2020. I said, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to give myself a timeline. If I fail miserably, I fail miserably. I've worked for somebody my whole life. What's the worst that can happen?
You just go back and work for
You
somebody.
just go back for, yeah, that was my mindset.
Yeah.
But I also knew after going through those life events that I did not want to spend the rest of my life wondering what it would be. I'd rather just know if I
Yeah.
suck at it and I can't be successful, hey, it is what it is, but I'll never turn around and say, I wonder what that would have been like. And I'm most proud of that, to just do
Yes.
it. Um,
I totally get that. I totally get that. Yeah, taking that risk, taking that jump. I love how you said it too. You bet on yourself. Yeah, that's an investment in yourself, and you're betting on yourself. And again, you're out. There's always an out, which is all right. I'll work for somebody else. But if you never try, how do you know?
Exactly. And
So
honestly, the business acumen was really my biggest learning curve. I think it took me a good 2, 3 years to actually understand and learn how to run a business,
right.
and all the pitfalls you can get stuck in. But I'll tell you something, and I know you can appreciate this because we met through networking as well. The people you surround yourself with and
Oh,
the network that you surround yourself with. I have been so blessed to have wonderful people that picked me up, gave me advice, led me in a different direction, and um, it's been amazing.
yeah, I'm laughing. Hear that, people? We've been saying this all along. Is your net worth are the five people you surround yourself with. So look at the people around you, look at their success rate, look at who they are, what they are, and how they impact your life. And if it's not positive, you need a new room. You definitely need a new room. So, and
You do.
networking is really an important thing. And I don't mean networking in the sense of like chambers and things like that. That's important on a different level. I mean, really having people surround you that you can tap into who have business experience, who have tools that you may not have that you can tap in and say, hey, how does this work? Because you're not supposed to know everything about everything if you've not done it. I can't repair a car if I've never done it before, right? I need
Yeah.
to take baby steps and learn the transmission and then learn other parts that I don't understand because I just put my key in and I have a really good mechanic. Thank God. So
Yes, yes, you
I
can't
know
put,
my weak points. I definitely know my strengths, you know.
yeah.
So, but I love that you did that and you bet on yourself. You came out, you know, you made the mistakes and I love that too. You were unabashedly vocal about the fact that yeah, I made mistakes and yeah, I'm learning from that. And you shifted, didn't you shift a lot in the first few years? And you
Yeah.
still, I mean, I know I'm constantly shifting, but then you find this sweet spot that's just working. And I think this year was your year, right?
Yeah, I think that um I needed to learn that. I needed to make a lot of mistakes because I don't really think I knew what I was capable of. I knew I had skills, I knew I had knowledge, I know I, had a successful career before,
Right.
but I don't think I actually knew it until it was just me and I was responsible 100% for my life and my livelihood. And it was kind of a mirror, like, wow, and you gain, I think, what the switch is, it's the confidence that comes with that expertise, right? And so, yeah, it all comes together. It looks like a hot freaking mess in the
Oh yeah.
middle. I'm telling anyone that is trying and failing right now, listen, that's why they
Or
call it the
or
messy middle.
perceiving that they're failing because they're not failing because they're doing.
Yes, yes, that's a great point. But yeah, don't you gotta, here's the thing, two things, just do it, right? Just do it because waiting and talking about it, just do it is number one. And then keep going. You have to keep going because if you stop once it gets a little hard, and it will get hard over and over. There are years that are hard for entrepreneurs.
Sure.
You have to see the bigger picture. And I think that's what saved me. That bigger picture, that legacy I'm trying to create for myself and my family and my future, that was always the bigger picture, right? Helping people, my name synonymous with helping people, that's really important to me. That's what saved me, and getting it into focus when I just wanted to say, this sucks so bad. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna bounce. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Really start looking at the want ads and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Just do it, you know, jump in. There's no perfect time to do any of this.
No.
And to continue forward. More times than not, I've had people come to me and they're like, I'm ready to tap out. And I'm like, ho, 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 ho. If it's getting really tough, that means you're on the right track. If it's getting really tough, that means you're almost at a breakthrough. It gets the hardest, the ugliest, the messiest, just before it's an aha moment. So just let's push through together. You know, let's absolutely push through together and those aha moments will come and then you'll look back and go, you know what? I'm so happy I stayed in. You know, fear creeps up on us and that's what makes us go, oh, this is just too hard. This is too difficult. I don't know what I'm doing. And you start second guessing yourself. But in the end, you just got to trust that, you know, if you have a dream, God doesn't give you a dream unless they give you the tools to do it. So,
Yeah.
and you did, you knew you had that entrepreneurial spirit and you knew you were good at what you did when you worked for somebody else. Clearly, you took it from 20 people to over 500. Clearly, we got this. You know, I know that part, but it's all the other aspects of the business that's where you really reached out to get that help. Um, so that brings me to the next obvious thing, which is hiring people for businesses and people problems. Oh
Mm.
my goodness. So in speaking to, I love being a solopreneur and I love working with power partners because then I don't have people that I need to deal with all their personal
Ah,
things and stuff like that. And but the truth is I do have employees now. And so and I love every single one of them, but comes with it are whatever they bring to the table. So
yeah.
selecting the right people, let's talk about that. So, you know, how do we go through selecting the right people? I know that I want somebody new. Someone says to us, right? And we have a mutual friend who's like, I need somebody. I need someone now because I'm getting into my heavy duty season, right? Um, I know I want, but I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know what I'm looking for. So how do you walk us through what that process looks like when they work with the Gervino Group?
Sure. Yeah. It's actually, for me, it's where the magic happens because, again, to your point, you don't know what you don't know. And I
Right.
think we all come into business having an idea of what perhaps our team might look like and what we want. And a lot of times it's like us. it's human nature. You tend to gravitate towards people who have your like
It's comfortable.
personality, or it's comfortable. But the truth is, you need the opposite of what you are because you need the yin and the yang. So
Yeah.
usually it starts with a meeting. I call it my therapy meeting, with my prospects and my client. And we really have an honest conversation about where they started, where they're at, and where they want to be. But more importantly, we start talking about that avatar. Let's start with who your perfect candidate is. And then they tell me, and then I'll ask, why? Why is this important? And I go down the maybe 20 things that they had. But at the end of the day, it's really those 5 things that
Hmm.
really mean the most to that client. But they're getting lost in all of the details and the weeds. And so, on a bigger picture, when clients or business owners post, right, they advertise for a role, sometimes you'll see job descriptions that are, multiple pages, nobody's looking at it. They're literally looking for a unicorn. There's not a human in the world that exists. And if they do, I don't think you have the infrastructure to keep them. So,
Or the budget.
or the budget. So it's not just one thing. It's about really understanding what you need and why you need it and how that's really going to impact your business. And what I love about that process is every single client is so different. I can work with, 13 electrical engineering companies, but each and every one is going to have their own culture, their own way, and their own reasoning to why they want a certain type of avatar. So that's phase one, really discovering that and understanding. Once I understand that, it helps me and my team really zone into who they are looking for, who are the candidates that not only have the skills, believe it or not, the skills and the experience, that's the easy part. It's really the behavior and those behavioral aspects of each individual and whether or not they're gonna, it's a puzzle, right? That's
Yeah.
why on my, website, you'll see like puzzle pieces. That's what it is. Getting that right piece because, and I've said this before, all it takes is one employee to change the trajectory of your business.
Oh, it could change your culture. It could tip your
Absolutely.
culture over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It becomes, no pun intended, it becomes it could potentially become a cancer in your organization. And then
Yeah.
it's rapid fire and all of a sudden you're like, what the heck just happened? So I love that discovery process that you go through and that so when I look for clients, I look for 3 things: fire in their belly, I can't teach that;
Mhm.
desire to succeed, I can't teach that; and showing up for themselves, I can't teach that either. If you don't have those 3 things, I'm not the coach for you, right? So the same thing when you're looking for people in your culture. You can teach them how to work that computer system, but you can't teach them how to integrate into your culture. So how did you become like? How did you figure this out where it's almost an equation? It's natural, it's instinctive for you that you look at a culture and you're like, this person will fit, this person will not. How do you go through that process, Angela? And it's gervinogroup.com, right? You mentioned your
Yes.
puzzle pieces on your website, so if somebody
Yes.
wants to like Google it right now, feel free. And all the information will be, so that you can get in contact with Angela, will be with this episode, of course. But so how do you do that? How do you do that magic?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it is firsthand experience. I've done it for other companies. So I had the internal experience of doing that. So I still work very much the same way as an extension of my clients. And I
Yeah,
just kind of immerse myself in there. But a lot of it is instinctual from experience. I can just tell, and maybe
yeah,
from all those years doing this, of who's going to fit and who won't. And I
yeah.
think I'm more successful because now I see it from both ends. As an entrepreneur, I have a hard time hiring for myself because I'm inside. And
Well, you can't
that,
read the label from the inside of the bottle, right?
yes,
So yeah.
yes. And so that's the value that I bring to my clients because I can see what they can't see, even if it's in front of them. And it's no fault of theirs. It's
No,
just that.
they also don't have you don't have the emotional attachment that they do to what's going on. They're looking at the outcome of it. You're looking at it holistically. So similar to me looking inside, it's easy for me to, isn't it easier when somebody's doing something and they ask for your opinion and you're like, Yeah, it's like so obvious. It's right there. It's so
Yeah,
easy for us to look into other people's lives and go, "Pff, yeah, just do this. What's the big deal?" And in the meantime, you're like, but my
totally.
mother and my aunts and the people in accounting and what? No, just do it. So I think that's what you bring to the table too, that outside looking in. I found through watching you and listening to you that experience of looking in is so, so important, especially if you're looking for team people, especially if you're looking for talent. Just throwing it out on Indeed is not going to bring you those people. You're going to get a lot of bots to begin with.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point as well. It's so much more. I think generally when people hear HR, they think of one of two things, hiring and firing. They
Yeah,
forget that there's all this other great stuff in between and involved. But when it comes to finding the right people, it it needs to be a process if you
yeah,
want to do
without
it
a doubt.
right and you want to build that retention.
Yeah, well, oh, we'll talk about retention. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. We're going to take a break. Angela and I will be back. We'll continue the conversation about all this good yumminess, and I also want to talk not only about retention, but I want to talk about the fact that you not only deal with entrepreneurs, you deal with big, huge corporations as well across the country. Yeah, okay. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, and we are speaking with Angela Gervino from the Gervino Group. We're talking HR, we're talking retention. We just left off, we were talking about, the importance of hiring the right people for our businesses. And you work with all size businesses, from solopreneurs to multi-gazillion dollar
Yes.
corporations, right? Yeah.
Yes, and industry too. I think that was one of the great choices that I made. When I started out, most people said, you have to niche, you have to niche. And I really thought about it and it just didn't sit right
Yeah.
because the magic for me is working with so many different industries.
Yeah.
It's dynamic and it makes it interesting and for me personally. So
I have the same thing. They said, "Oh, you should, do you work with a certain group?" And I'm like, "No, because what I do works across the board. The tools are the same across the board. Whether it used to be marketing for me, and now it's of course the coaching and strategizing. The tools are the same. The industry is intriguing, and I love learning about a new
yes.
industry. That's actually how I got into architecture and engineering. I used to do
Oh,
marketing for that, and I love the engineers. Oh my gosh.
no, I
Oh
know.
my gosh.
I fell into that by accident too, and it was it's fascinating. Now I love it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me
It
as
is
well.
fascinating what they're doing, and it's just so smart. And then when they explain it, you're like, "What? How does that work?" And they're explaining all the things that they do. It's just so cool. It's really cool. I think
Yeah.
either in a past life I was an architect or an engineer, or maybe in my next life I'm going to be that, because I just find it very incredibly fascinating. But anyway, with that said, we were talking about retention. This is like something that's really hot for me. Retention, retention, retention. It is so much less expensive to retain someone and do the right things within the company than it is for us to acquire someone. Am I right?
Yeah. And yeah, 1000%. And
Yeah.
actually, when I do audits, a lot of the clients are shocked at how much they spend on hiring and firing and hiring and firing. They're not really understanding the financial impact.
The
But
time sucking of training
oh,
someone for
over and over.
all those resources is not just financial. It's also stressful on your HR department or your employee department, right?
Yeah.
So so over and over is just crazy. It's just
Yeah.
crazy. No, you said something and I want to stop you there because I don't want to miss out on it. I'm aware you do these year-end audits. And if you stalk, I mean follow Angela on LinkedIn, you will see that you're out there saying, let's do year-end audits. Talk about your audits. What do you do for companies, and why should they have an HR audit? I understand a financial audit, but I know you do HR audit.
Yes, yes. So, it's one of those things I really truly love to do because it's really that
Is there
aha.
anything you don't love to do? Because you're just
Well,
so vibrant. You're so much
no,
fun.
I love this because it is a discovery. It's like working with children and they're opening the present and they're like, wow, I didn't know that about my own business, and I think part of it was I wish I had that when I was starting out. Like it would have saved me so much time.
Yes,
But but
same.
people think about HR again as hiring and firing, but there's so many things that a business is on the hook for that they're not really aware of that can cost them money in lawsuits, in fines. There are HR laws, payroll laws that change like this depending on the state you live in. And the average business owner, is probably knee deep in operations, so they might not be looking at that.
They're
And even
doing their day-to-day stuff. They're not
they're
looking
doing
at all these new
right.
laws that some Yahoo comes up with because he has nothing better to
Better
do.
to do. Yes, exactly. But also, it doesn't, I'm not just talking about small companies, even medium-sized businesses who might not have a big HR department. They might have one person doing HR and then an office manager, that jack of all trades doing everything,
With
where
the, I
those,
even think with the big departments, the big ones with the HR departments, it's really good to have an outsider come in and look at it in case there's a miss. You could save
yeah,
so much money. I know in the past we've discovered some things that they could have saved so much money had they had somebody else looking at it. And it's not that they weren't doing what they were supposed to. It was just again, we don't know what we don't know. So
exactly. Yeah. And I
when you
think
come in, you
also
do that.
when people hear audit, I think it's like, oh, audit,
Well,
this
you
is gonna
think IRS, that's the first thing. IRS.
yeah. Oh my gosh. What do you mean you're going to be like investigating me? So I will say our audits are very simple. Within a week and a half, it's over. We spend one day with the owner or the point person. It could be on Zoom, it could be a call. We can go there, whatever the preference is, we can split it up. But within a week or so, we can compile all of the data that we've gotten, which is real data in real time. We compile it into a report and then we present it within a week and a half to the client. We sit down, we go over all the findings, we rate them like, hey, you really got to watch out for this red alert. This is going to result in either a fine or lawsuit. Other things that are important, but you don't have to drop everything and do it now. And then other things that are great, you're in compliance. And handing that report is really my favorite part because they see, wow, this isn't, we're not making it up. It's based on their own business, their numbers, their data. You can't fudge it. It's black and white. And
Yeah, yeah.
so,
Well,
in one way,
you can't mess with numbers. That's why whenever I work with someone, that's the first thing I do is go to their numbers because you can't hide. You can't have a different perspective because numbers don't lie. So you giving them that report, it's like, do you walk them through the report so that
I
it doesn't
do.
become a report that gets thrown onto a bookshelf?
No, so the audit itself, depending on the client, is usually, a day or so, usually half a day. It depends on the business and
Sure.
how organized they are and how I could pull the information. So a
Sure.
week later, we're sitting down or we're on Zoom and I am going through the reporting, primarily because I really want them to understand what we're talking about and how it all connects from when I was asking them the questions. And here's the answer. They have a whole compliance score so they could see their total. They can, and then I break it down into the 5 sections of HR and give them a score as well. So they know in black and white what the areas are that they have to improve. And, I have to say, a lot of clients think that their issue is here, but it's in this other part of HR that they didn't even consider. And so
Sure.
that's the magic, again, showing them that and connecting that for them. And a
Yeah.
lot of times they will go back and they'll decide, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Some of them pump the brakes, maybe they don't do it. But I'll tell you, audits more than anything, I get the random calls, 9 months later, 2 years later, I had somebody who I did an audit. Okay, we're ready to fix those things. And so
Yeah.
I thought, okay, let's do it. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's,
Yeah,
it's,
so the purpose of having the audit is not is also to see your strengths and weaknesses, right?
yes,
It's almost like doing a SWOT analysis, but it's just on the HR department, right? And you get your
correct.
strengths and weaknesses, and then you have opportunities to perhaps fix it, prevent having fines and things like that, which is
Absolutely.
that should be an immediate action item, right?
Yeah.
And then, so what's the next step after their audit? What do they do with it? Now I have this piece of paper. Now I have my audit. Now I know what I should be doing, what I'm not doing,
Yes.
what I
So
want to do.
of course I ask them if they need my help because I can certainly fill and plug those holes for them. And most of them do end up working with me on a consulting basis for the
Sure.
next couple of months to do that. But to your point about retention, I know we started that
Yeah.
question. That audit report can easily show how much improvement needs to be done on the onboarding part. And a lot of times you think, oh, I have a strong onboarding, but the data shows you keep losing people at this point in time. Maybe that's where the orientation stops and there's no further path. So a lot of times I might jump in and really create and implement for them a really comprehensive long-term big picture onboarding or recruitment plan. Usually it's in one of those areas to start if they've
Yeah.
got an HR department.
Yeah. And I found through my experience that people don't leave for money. They say they're leaving for a better salary, but they never leave for that, because if they were really truly happy, they wouldn't even leave for a better salary. They think about it, but they're like, you know what? I love it here, because change is hard. So that's how people justify leaving, is, well, I'm getting, X amount more money and blah, blah, blah. It's not about that. It was because they're not happy. So if we can catch them in the not happy and we can figure out what it is and adjust to that, is that something you can help them with as well? It's like, I'm feeling it, because sometimes you can feel a vibe, you kind of feel something's coming. You feel a tension. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's an energetic in the staffing. And do you come in and help with that as well?
I do. So that's the consulting side of our business. A lot of times clients will call us and they ask for a reset, right? Usually it's around this time or maybe summer, depending on the business and their seasonal needs and how that pans out. But they'll call me and they'll ask me to spend time, a little one-on-one with either a group or teams or individual employees, and really just kind of take the temperature of what the culture is like, what the feedback is, if I can, connect things and see if there's a pattern or problems that maybe the owners didn't realize was such a problem, but it obviously is, talking to the employees. And also, I get all the juice because I'm an outside person. So I'm
Yeah,
not connected. And so I have more of an honest, or I receive more of an honest
yeah.
opinion or feedback, which is really critical.
I get that when I'm coaching too. You get told stuff that they would never think to tell other people in the business.
No, no. And those clients that do call for a recheck, I find are really the business owners that want the best for their employees. Because again, to reach out to us and ask for that service, you have to be thinking 5 steps ahead. How is my workforce going to respond to this? How can I make my workforce better? How can I keep my workforce? How can I empower them? Those are the thoughts of a innovative business owner that's thinking long term, who really wants to build that retention. How can I make my home more desirable, right?
Yeah,
Welcoming, if you
yeah.
think about it in
Yeah.
those terms.
You know what I found a lot of through what I do is, so often people get promoted to supervisory or managerial positions, but they're never trained on how to be a supervisor or manager. So they tap into past supervisors or managers, which could be good, bad, and ugly. And so they bring these things. I actually did a consultation for a medical group, and there were a bunch of new supervisors, and they kept asking me this question: Am I allowed to do that? What do you mean allowed? I was like, what? No, what? So I love that. So HR gone wrong. Like, what are the common mistakes businesses make that you typically see?
Not really thinking about their expectations versus the reality. I just wrote a LinkedIn article about this, where we're in this world where everything has to be perfect, right? The employer is presenting themselves as this perfect company with no problems, no strife, nothing that they're challenged with. Those
Really?
3-page job descriptions of what they're looking for, that's so out of touch. But
Yeah.
then also on the candidate side, there's a lot of pressure to be perfect. We're in a saturated market right now. There's so many people looking for opportunities. And with AI, a lot of that wonderful talent is just being knocked out. So these businesses aren't really seeing that talent. They're just kind of there getting lost. And so, from a candidate's perspective, they're making their resume beautiful the way that they think somebody else wants to see it. And when I'm coaching on the candidate side, I always say, forget about everything you know. Let's talk about what you bring to the table. And that's what we put on the piece of paper. Because anyone worth you pairing up with, anyone who's really truly interested
And
in what
see
you
it.
have to bring to the table is going to appreciate that. They don't need the fluff and this and that. And I know it's new, but AI, everybody sounds exactly the same. I
Yeah.
see resume after resume. I can't differentiate anything. And to me, the magic and beauty of recruitment, especially on the candidate side, is how do I identify what is so unique about this person? And why do I want to sell this person to my client? Like, that's the magic in recruiting. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's been lost because everything is kind of cookie cutter. Okay, AI, this, blah, blah. And I'm not knocking AI. I use AI. I know how to use it. It's
There's
great.
a place. There's good, bad, and ugly in AI as well. There's a
Yeah,
place for AI, and I think it's sometimes being overused. To your point, is everybody's resume sounds the same, and everybody's thing looks the same. And if you really understand how AI works, it draws off of what currently exists, not what's being created. So the
right.
being created is the important part of the growth. Otherwise, what's going to happen eventually, we're stuck in the same circle because it's
Yeah.
only tapping into the same information that's being regurgitated and reused as opposed to getting that creative element. Plus, we're all different. And that's the magic. That's why I love working with people is I love the differences and I love seeing the superpower in people and just being able to see what you bring or someone else brings to the table is the yumminess. It's like, oh man, you are so good at this, and you're so good at saying this is your strength. This is where you're really bringing something super different to the table than other people are bringing to the table. And you're so good at that with the candidates
Oh,
because you
thank
do
you.
work on both sides.
Yeah. And I love it. I really do because listen, you can put anything on a piece of paper.
Sure.
Let's just face it, right? I mean, you can do that. But you cannot replace that one-on-one that we have with our candidates, really understanding them. Their resume might look like a hot mess, but we see something and we know their real knowledge, skills, and ability. But we also know how that's going to best fit one of our clients. And so
Yeah.
that's where the puzzle and the matchmaking comes in. What's happening now is you look at the paper, now this doesn't fit anything, next, because you've got a million more resumes to look at. So
Yeah.
we're losing the heart and soul of it, and
Another pet peeve. Here's a pet peeve
yeah,
is when you apply for something or when you have a job opportunity out there, not responding that you received the application. Pet peeve. I love the fact that, that's one of the things you do. You make sure that you're responding. You make sure that people know where they are and that because they move on, your candidates
right.
move on. I just had an experience like that, not for myself, for someone else, and they put in a resume. They didn't hear back, so they moved on. And then 3 months later, they get a phone call, and she's like, "What?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I already have a job. No, I moved on. They didn't even know the resume was received. They wrote them off. So what is your thoughts on that? And what are best practices on the candidate side so that they can be seen and heard and get to the interview? That I think that's the hardest part now is getting to the interview. And then what on the other side, on the hiring side, is best to get the best candidates into the interview because you don't want to spend a whole lot of time wasting your time interviewing bad people. Not bad people,
No,
but inappropriately matched people.
no, that's a really great question, and I could do a whole radio show just on that.
Okay, come back. We'll talk
But
about it.
but in layman terms, it's for both sides, they really have to understand who they are and what they want.
Mm,
And I think that's really, it sounds so simplistic, but it's very difficult in this culture and this market where everyone is kind of bombarding you with what you should be. Oh, you don't have this skill. You didn't go for this. You don't have this certificate. It's like for candidates, the first thing I want to say is it's very easy to feel dejected. It's very easy to lose your self-confidence in your abilities and what you can bring to the table because the system right now is designed to do that.
yes.
So, first and foremost, you can't lose sight of who you are and what you bring to the table. As hard as it is, rejection sucks. but
Right, but you bring value no matter
big
what.
value.
You just
And
have to find the right lid to the pot.
yes, but I do tell candidates right out the gate, expect to be rejected. Expect it so that they know and they're not surprised, right? It hurts, but it's not as devastating. This is the process. I explain what the market's going to look like to them. So really it's about their mindset, being in a relaxed environment and headspace and just being consistent. Keep applying. It's like you said, seeding, right? It's the same thing. Your person is out there, and I tell this to everyone, there is an opportunity for every single person, every level, every job, every industry. The work is in finding it.
Yeah.
And, I think that's why we love what we do at Gervino Group, because that's what we do. We love doing that.
Yeah, and you're really good at it. You're also good at keeping both sides understanding that it's a process and it's
It is
okay.
a process.
We're
Yeah.
we're going to get you your candidate or we're going to get you your position. It's a process, but you need to stick it out. A last question, because I can't believe our time just went by so quickly. So I do want you back. So much
Yeah.
information. I got so many questions for you. I know you do a lot of networking. What are your thoughts on networking? Real brief.
Sure. 1000% I love it. I don't think I would be anywhere in my career, personally or professionally, without a network. And I think people who say network or think they know what a network is sometimes isn't correct, right? People think, again, what should I do? Oh, I have to
Perception.
go out, I have to meet, here's my business card, but they're missing the big picture. They're not actually connecting, they're just going through the motions. So if you want to join a network and that's what you're going to do, don't waste your time, don't pay the dues, don't waste anyone's time. Really think about the people you want to meet, the people you want to surround yourself with, and then dedicate and commit to really getting to know them, not for your sake, but for their sake. Because, good karma, you try to help people, it comes back,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. And so a network is so powerful, but you have to understand the rules within a network,
Yeah.
right? You
So,
can't
so
get without giving.
yeah, 100%. And you have to give. You have to give. So one question I always ask is, yeah, I'm in a networking group too, and the one question I always ask is, how many people are here to get sales? And everybody raises their hands. And I was like, and how many people are here to help people? Right?
Crickets.
Crickets, crickets. And it's every single one of them. So now it's just a different mindset. So it's a change in mindset. Last thoughts that you would want for, because I'm a take action success coach. An action that someone can take today to start on a trajectory that you would recommend.
I would say if you're in limbo and you're not quite sure what your next step is, get a notebook, write every thought in your head down. And I know it sounds simplistic again, but there's something about writing all the stuff in your head, getting it out, and then you review it. Write it out, leave it, the next day go back to it, and really read each of them. And after a while, what really resonates with you will keep hitting you in the face,
Yeah.
right? I think we're so busy, we don't listen to that inner voice. We're
Yeah.
just, oh, I gotta be this, I gotta do this, oh my God, I'm late. Stop, breathe, do a technology-free hour or two. And it's hard. You sit there in silence with your paper and just really try to reconnect and get in touch with yourself.
Yeah.
The answers will come. We just rarely give ourselves the opportunity to listen.
Hundred
So
percent, hundred
busy.
percent. I do a Sunday brain dump, and I just sit and write
Hmm.
and just write whatever comes free flow, and then I read it the next morning, and I'm like, huh. And you'll see
Yeah,
patterns show up. You'll see
I
patterns. To your point, there you
agree.
go.
Every
Oh,
day. Listen, I never tell anyone anything unless I've done it myself because I
100.
believe 1000% it starts from the top. So if I haven't done it, I'm not going to ask you to do it. Just
Ah,
best know I've done it, been there, done that, and I'll help you not make those mistakes.
same. And I wish like you, I wish I had had a me going through what I was going through at the time. And that's what I do, why I do what I do. And that's why you do what you do. Angela Gervino from gervinogroup.com. You are amazing. Thank you so much for being on today.
Oh, thank you so much, Lorianne. This was a blast, really. Thank you.
Absolutely was for us too. And I'm serious when I say I want to have you back. Thank you all for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I hope we earned the privilege of your time. Again, I want to thank our guest today, Angela Gervino from the Gervino Group. You can find all her information and get in contact with her because she is brilliant at what she does. Look for our show next Saturday at 3 p.m. on JVC Broadcasting and iHeartRadio. We can also be found on all major platforms. Please, we would be so grateful if you please like, follow, share, subscribe, comment. We would love all of that. And of course, if you want to send an email to healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com, we answer all of our emails and love to hear from you. Until next time, I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 Take Action Success Coach and Strategist. Let your dreams be bigger than your fears and let your life be filled with joy. Until next time, have a good week. Thanks, Angela.
Thanks.